Hello and welcome to our series here at the Minneapolis Foundation on the state of Minnesota nonprofits. In January, we spoke with Nonoko Sato, the head of the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits, about the challenges facing the sector. You can find that chat on the Minneapolis Foundation's YouTube page. So what we're doing here today, is an extension of that conversation as part of the work we do to bring fund holders closer to the work happening on the ground. By highlighting the work of specific nonprofits, we hope that fund holders will gain a better understanding of how rapid changes are affecting organizations and how fund holders can be equipped to make giving more impactful in this moment. My name is Tom Weber, and I am pleased to be joined by Jennifer Polzin, who is the CEO of Tubman. This is an organization that helps people experiencing many traumas, many forms of trauma, including relationship violence, homelessness, trafficking, and mental and chemical health challenges. So, Jennifer, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me, Tom. I appreciate it.
How is your organization doing right now?
So that feels like it's such a big question, right? I think about, it is the best of times and the worst of times. So we have been really soaring and shoring up our long-term and short-term sustainability. We're on the brink of launching some new programming. We have been really just expanding some things, maintaining some programs, just really engaging with the community in new and exciting ways. And then all of this current moment happened, which is all around uncertainty. And it feels like, we got through the pandemic, we've been making strides on employee well-being. Our equity work continues to advance in deeper and deeper ways. And then it feels sort of like it's one foot on the brake and one on the gas because we are spending so much time scenario planning.
What explain that? How is the work different, I guess, now than before, even maybe a month or two ago? And give some examples too.
Yeah. So at Tubman, everything that we do is all about safety, hope, and healing. And we provide a wide variety of services. We serve youth, we serve adults, we serve families, people of all gender backgrounds and cultural backgrounds. And we provide, for example, shelter and also longer term community based housing. We provide a wide variety of legal services. We provide mental and chemical health treatment and aftercare, and then a really vast and deep continuum of services for youth in our community. Everything from violence prevention in schools to youth diversion work that includes mentorship and leadership development, a youth drop in center, all kinds of things, and then all of those wraparound services. At Tubman, I'm really proud to say that our funding is really diverse, which is kind of a blessing and a curse in the sense that we have braided together many different funding sources. We've welcomed new supporters and grown our base of individual supporters, people who are really passionate about ending relationship violence and creating a space where people can move from simply surviving to actually thriving. And in about 29% of our overall funding is federal funding. Now, that includes some competitive grant awards and contracts for service that Tubman applies for directly. And that also includes some Violence Against Women Act and Victim of Crime Act funding that flows through the state of Minnesota. So there are so many uncertainties right now. Part of that is around the federal funding freeze. And part of that is also around fear that, and a very real and founded fear, as we've heard from some colleagues who are, their organizations are facing situations where if they don't stop serving certain people in the community, whether they be people who are immigrants or people who are transgender, They are facing funding being cut off for continuing their equity and diversity and inclusion and access and belonging work. Part of our mission statement is that we are providing opportunities for change so that every person can experience safety, hope, and healing. You know, we serve in the name of the abolitionist Harriet Tubman. And so really all of our equity work, it's baked into everything that we do. So our scenario planning is around things like we are not backing down on our equity work, yet we are tracking our time differently for certain standalone activities, whether it be a training or um, maybe a particular project that is culturally specific. So that we can prove that we are not using federal funds for those activities, but that we are indeed marching forward publicly. I certainly understand the quandary that so many other organizations are in around making that tough decision of, you know, should they scrub their websites? Should they not be so public about their work serving certain communities in an effort to protect the people they serve? We're in a little bit different, we're taking a different approach in the fact that we're not backing away from those things, but it means countless hours spent scenario planning, saying, if it goes this deep, you know, we will have to enact these cuts. And because most, like most nonprofits, most of our expenses are really around um, the enormously talented uh, staff with deep expertise, it means that we will have to serve fewer people and that we'll have to shrink our staff.
Have
It
you,
also, oh, go ahead.
have you had a moment, some nonprofits have experienced the idea of being unable to actually access some funds. There are different federal funds work different ways. And so have you had moments of not knowing if this certain amount of money was going to come in and that may affect whether you can make payroll on Friday?
So we have had moments where we have gone to draw down funds for reimbursement for the work that we've already done. And maybe the website will be down for a couple of hours and then it goes back up. Um, that has stabilized a little bit over the last week and a half or 2 weeks. Our funding cycle, thank goodness, we are not in the process of reapplying for renewal funding. My colleagues who lead organizations that are in a different cohort, so they're in a different funding cycle, they have found that those funding opportunities, for example, through the Department of Justice, the Office of Violence Against Women, those current requests for proposals that were underway have been taken down. And there's simply a message that says, if you had been, you know, if you had an application that is underway, stop. So we have not yet, although some of our funding, whether it be through housing and urban development for some of our housing work, other things through the Office of Violence Against Women. For example, we have one brand new award that is so that we can help people with critical kind of crisis financial support. For example, help so someone can change their locks after a domestic violence assault to stay safer, or things like maybe helping with a damage deposit or with a bag of groceries to make it to payday. Those little things that really help keep people safer. That grant, as one example, has been approved. So we've received the conditional award. Yet the final agreement has not come back to us. So a lot of limbo, really, and we're seeing it play out for our workforce in terms of people are really nervous about their jobs. Most of our workforce have also personally experienced the issues that are essential to our mission. Um, It also means, we've had a couple of folks who have given their notice because they're nervous about their job security and they're in roles that they realize that the entire nonprofit sector is kind of in this flight, fright, freeze kind of spot. We also know that with the uncertainty, for example, in our housing programs, we've established relationships with landlords so that we help people find housing who may have a rental history that is not as strong, or maybe the lease was in their partner's name, those kinds of things. We help them find housing and provide a rental subsidy. Many property managers and landlords are saying, with HUD funding, housing and urban development funding, and rental subsidy being up in the air, we're not going to take this particular tenant. So we are finding that there is a real impact on people's livelihoods, on their housing situations, all of those things that really make a strong community.
So given all of that, what should people know about the work you'll be doing in the next 3 to 6 months?
I think it's really important to know that we have processes in place. For example, we use a strategy screen so that if these cuts end up being prolonged and deeper than we fear, we're doing things like making decisions about what are services that won't take as long to ramp back up again, should things change. I think people should know that there are organizations like Tubman that have really sound infrastructure in place, who really um, provide services that are developed by, with, and for the people that we serve, but also that have that capacity, strong leadership, strong community engagement, lots of volunteer opportunities. I would say we have seen our community be really generous in terms of um, investing in organizations like Tubman. We're seeing more donors at all levels of the organization. We're seeing people that are um, understanding of the fact that certain types of funding are eroding. For example, much of our government funding has remained flat since 2018, even before the threat of federal funding freeze. And so people are aware and cognizant, because we've all faced it and seen it in our own personal lives, that expenses continue to rise, whether it be inflation or building materials to maintain our spaces, or needing to stay competitive with wages so that we can attract and retain the best talent possible. So I think people are understanding of that and are looking for organizations that are strong and stable, even if we need to contract to get through these times ahead.
Well, I appreciate your time today to talk through some of that. Jennifer Polzin from Tubman. Thanks so much for joining
Thank
me.
you, Tom. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you joining us, and we invite our fund holders to connect with their philanthropic advisors. If you have further questions about this organization or the area of work where it performs, where it performs that work, we are excited to work with you to find a plan for giving that works best for you. So thank you for joining us, and join us for our next video as well.